Today is Monday, December 28th, 2014. As we're looking towards the new year coming up, I'd like to make some reflections on some of the things that happened last year. Obviously, there's a whole heck of a lot of them. I'd like to comment on some of them. One of them struck my attention just recently, and that is on the writer George Will. He writes for the Washington Post. He's been writing for him for about 40 years. I've never really liked his writing style. He seems to want to bring some obscure thing up in the first paragraph that happened 200 years ago, and then relate that, as to how Democrats suck. And I see that he's very, very smart in his writings, and I see he's maybe too smart for me. In the sense that it just doesn't make enough sense. He's just roundabout, and he has this aura of superiority. I think he wears this bow tie when he speaks, and there's anything about him that I find in any way enlightening whatsoever. Even as a conservative, I just don't find him enlightening at all. But he seems to be on TV on the Sunday talk shows, and he writes a column a couple days a week. And earlier in the year, he wrote a column in reference to rape, and talked about how women who, I believe it went on that women who were raped then received an elevated status on campus. And of course, he received unbelievable amount of criticism on that, especially from women. He didn't take it back. He didn't write a column saying that he was wrong or anything like that. I basically don't think he said anything about it. And there was a very, very nice woman, and I don't remember her name, who was an OBGYN, who wrote him a letter basically indicating that 25 years before that she had been raped. She never really talked about it much. She did, and then she went into detail, which I don't really want to go into right here, of what basically happened after a rape, after he went to the police, after they basically let's just use the term, inspected you to make sure that you had a rape so that they could determine what went down. She also went into details about how numbing it was, how you couldn't believe that it happened, didn't want to accept that it happened, had to block it out of your mind. There was nothing that you could do with the strength that you had as a woman to get this person, this man who was on top of you, off of you as he was doing his things to you, so to speak. Very, very, and of course George Will didn't take it back at all. Then later in the year, he was actually on TV during the Ebola virus brouhaha, which, again, the United States did fine during the whole thing. And he basically said that you could catch it because it was airborne, which it is not. And they corrected him then and there, and he refused to accept it. And I don't think he's made a comment about that either. Now, this is one of the things that I really love about Republicans, is that, they don't care what they say at times. And they are so, as I use the term drunk, it's that, when you're drunk, you're pretty damn self-righteous about a lot of things. And if you're hurt, you really let other people know that they are the ones that hurt you. And, the thing is, he was corrected right then and there. And this is the thing that gets me, is that, that was very wrong information that went out, and it didn't help. And if he had talked to anybody, just like that woman OBGYN said to him in his letter, how many women have you talked to who have been raped and have told you that they felt that they had felt an elevated status on campus because they had been raped? And what doctors and what type of research material did you do before you went on whatever that show was on a Sunday morning and basically said that you could catch it airborne, or whatever he said, which was absolutely wrong? And then, what did you do to go back after you were corrected on air? We normally, because we just want to have a discussion, and we all want to get along. We would let everyone speak there. They don't really jump on each other and fight on the Sunday morning shows. which I would like, which would be much nicer for them to do. But, you know, again, the reason why I brought this up and the reason why I brought it up today is we're looking at the end of the year. You know, here's a guy who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, who doesn't know what it's like to be a woman, doesn't know what it's like to be a poor woman, doesn't know what it's like to be 5 foot, 5'2", 110 pounds, and some fat slob is jumping all over you. Doesn't know what it's like to get your ass patted as you're walking down the street. Doesn't know any of this kind of stuff, you know, and sits there and tells you, you know, that you're going to be better off after it's been done to you. And then, you know, for a learned man, you know, in what was going on in the Ebola virus thing, you know, there was a lot of crap that was coming out of Fox News. And a lot of crap that was coming out of the conservative end. And I know why, and I think you know why, is because they just wanted to build on the fear. Because that's all they got is fear. Fear, fear, fear. You know, but again, George Will likes to think that he's above that, you know, that he's the rational conservative. He's the smart conservative, you know. And he threw out some happy horse crap there. And, you know, it really was, you know, it's really, really condescending, you know, when you get there on television like that. And there are some things, you know, I understand the political world, you know, you can shade things and you can meander around things and, you know, but, you know, when it comes to infectious diseases, there are things that they know that are facts. And how do you catch infectious diseases? And he was wrong. And the other point I'd like to make out, God, I don't even know, really want to bring this up, but, you know, he wrote an article about his son who is a special ed child. And his son had turned 40. And, you know, I decided I'd read it because I thought that there would be a nice comment on people who are special ed and how they can exist in the world. I have a special ed child, so I know, as well as George Will knows, probably a lot more so than he does, what it's like to raising a special ed child. And the thing about it was he probably wasn't in the first paragraph or the second paragraph. When he talked about after his child was born, he indicated that he and his wife at the time were asked if they wanted to keep the child or institutionalize the child. And then he went on to berate, I'm assuming it was Democrats, you know, or the liberals, you know, that said something like that to him. And believe me, and then indicating that no one took care of special ed children back then, which was a complete fallacy, a complete lie. I remember when my child was about ready to be born, because we knew ahead of time was that that there were serious complications that was going to happen. And someone gave me a book called The Power of the Powerless. It talked about special ed children, or children who would be even much worse than that, who were born into the world, and the power that allowed that, allowed those, you know, the power that by their powerlessness that created. I can't really describe it right now, but it was a very, very moving book. It helped me a tremendous amount. But the point is that there are many, many, many parents in the United States in the 60s, in the 70s, you know, in the 50s, who had special ed children and kept those special ed children. And he was trying to brag about the fact that they kept their children, when the whole article should have been about his son and nothing else. You know, and that's the type of person that he is.